will study about the vascular attacks or vascular lesions in the ponds and what all the area of these vascular lesions are going to produce. According to that, we have certain the related diseases or symptoms we are going to discuss today, right? So first of all, we'll have some very basic idea about where and all the vascular attacks of this the supply. Vascular attacks means the occlusion of the arteries which is supplying to the ponds, where and which artery is going to occlude and what are the symptoms are going to produce, that we are going to study now. So vascular lesions of the ponds can be divided into, we will divide into three aspects for our understanding purpose. Like in this diagram you can see in the lower part of the ponds, if there is an occlusion are going to happen, then what are the symptoms are going to produce. In the middle of the ponds, if occlusion will happen, what are the symptoms are going to produce. And in the upper part of the ponds, if the ponds get occluded, then what are the symptoms are going to produce, right? So according to that, the lower part of ponds, then middle part of ponds, then lower part of ponds. Right. These are the three divisions, and in each area of ponds, what are the diseases, what are the applied or clinical aspect we have to study. Okay, so what are the clinical applications are there in which part of the ponds, we need to understand these things first. In the lower part of the ponds, if occlusion of supplying arteries are going to happen, the symptoms are going to produce of the inferior part of the ponds, which is going to hamper the medial or lateral aspect of the ponds. In inferior part of the ponds and medial side of the ponds, that the syndrome is going to called as first one is medial inferior pontine syndrome, right? Medial inferior pontine syndrome. This medial inferior pontine syndrome is also known as, very popularly, Millard-Gubler syndrome. This is called as Millard-Gubler syndrome. Okay, this is a Millard-Gubler syndrome, MG syndrome. The next one is the lateral inferior pontine syndrome. It's a lateral inferior pontine syndrome. Okay, and due to the lateral aspect of the lower part of the ponds is also supplied by ICA. Okay, means anterior inferior cerebellar artery, that is also known as by name of ICA syndrome. Okay, ICA syndrome or ICA syndrome. A name of that scientist called as a Foville syndrome. It's also called as Foville's syndrome. Foville's syndrome. These are the two parts where the medial aspect of the lower part of the ponds and lateral part of the lower part of the ponds are related. This is about the medial and this is about the lateral part of the ponds, which is get occluded and the symptoms are going to produce. Now in the mid-pontine region, the medial aspect doesn't have that much of clinical importance because that artery doesn't occlude usually. Usually what we see statistically, the lateral part of the ponds in the medial aspect, in the medial pontine aspect are get occluded, and those are called as a mid-pontine syndromes. Since it does not occur in the medial aspect, it occurs in the lateral aspect of the mid part of the ponds. In the mid part of the ponds, the lateral mid-pontine syndrome. The syndrome here related with the middle part of the ponds is a lateral mid-pontine syndrome. Right? This is the one thing which we'll see in the middle portion and that too on the lateral aspect of the ponds. Now we have superior aspect, upper aspect. Okay, so this is lower now. This is the upper part of the ponds. Again the lateral aspect. See, lateral aspect of the ponds has lot of clinical importance. Okay, upper part again the lateral aspect. So the symptom or syndrome which is named by the lateral part of the ponds which is going to get occluded, and the syndrome is named as lateral superior pontine syndrome. It's called as lateral superior pontine syndrome. Okay, and also we know that the upper part of the pons here, the artery, which artery was coming here? The superior cerebellar artery, isn't it? And it is also known by the name of that artery, or it's also called as superior cerebellar artery syndrome. Okay, see, superior cerebellar artery syndrome or lateral superior pontine syndrome. So these are the understanding of the what are the syndromes are there produced in the pons due to occlusion of the artery supplying to pons. Okay, that's why we have studied about a brief about artery. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 which we are going to discuss now. I have drawn the parts in the diagram for the explanation purpose to understand the clinical symptoms, okay, and why this clinical symptom is going to produce. I am not drawing all aspect of the pons here. Okay, this is the 6th cranial nerve, abducent nerve, and this is the abducent. This is the 7th cranial nerve, and this is the facial artery. And you know that these black colored dots which are representing the pontine nuclei and fibers which are going to the pontocerebellar fibers, okay, to the cerebellum. And the red color dots what you are seeing here, they are the corticospinal tract which are coming from the midbrain crossing to the pons, right? So first we'll see about this one, and this image area of the part of pons is get occluded. The cause is the occlusion of paramedian branches of basilar artery. Where is the paramedian? This is a paramedian branch which is supplying this much area. Due to the occlusion of paramedian arteries, if this much of the part of pons is get occluded, what are the symptoms are going to? The cause is median branches of basilar artery occlusion. Okay, paramedian branch of basilar artery occlusion. Due to that, the first one which is going to get hampered is about this nerve. What is this? Abducent nerve. Okay, so this is the first one we'll see. Abducent nerve. So if abducent nerve is going to control the lateral rectus muscle of the eyeball, so now first I am speaking about the ipsilateral area, later last we will discuss about the contralateral effect. Now this is ipsilaterally what will happen. Abducent, if the occlusion on this part of the pons, this side of the lateral rectus muscle is get paralyzed, and that leads to the symptoms of double vision. Okay, it will move to the unaffected part. Okay, so eyeball is going to move to unaffected part due to the paralysis of the lateral rectus, which leads to diplopia condition. What is leads to the diplopia? The first sign is a diplopia. Okay, next, and after this one, what are these? These are the transverse processes for the cerebellum called as a pontocerebellar fibers. If these pontocerebellar fibers are get occluded, this one. Second one, pontocerebellar fibers involvement. Ataxia of limbs are going to produce. This is a ataxia of limbs. Okay, so this is the second symptom, ataxia of limb. The first one is diplopia of affected side. This is again affected side, ataxia of the limbs. Okay, same side ataxia of the limbs will be there. Then what is next? We have here the facial nerve. This is one. Third one, the facial nerve is going to get involved here, and which leads to the facial paralysis. Okay, which leads to facial paralysis. These are okay. So all these what we have discussed is about ipsilateral side, same side. So now we'll see about the contralateral side. See the corticospinal tracts. Okay, Remember corticospinal tracts in the pons, there are scattered fibers are there. In the midbrain they are in the condensed form. Again in the medulla they are condensed form, but in the pons they are scattered due to the traffic. You remember this one? Due to that reason, the whole half body paralysis will not happen. It leads to the paralysis, hemiparesis. That too, hemiparesis. That's why I told at that time important discussion on that one, which leads to hemiparesis of trunk and limbs. Okay, this is the one thing. Next thing is a weakness of lower face. Okay, weakness of lower face will be the also symptom in the involvement of the corticospinal tract in this area. Okay, so altogether ipsilateral side there is a diplopia, ataxia of limbs, facial paralysis. Along with that, contralateral, this is same side, this is a contralateral hemiparesis of the trunk and the limbs, and the weakness of the lower part of the face. So these are the symptoms which are going to produce due to the occlusion of the paramedian branch of the basilar artery, and this is called as Millard-Widler syndrome or medial inferior pontine syndrome. Right?